Welcome to Spot On Insurance. This is your host, Doug Foresta, and today I could not be more excited to have with me Ted and Arleen Taveras, the co-founders of ILSA and the co-founders of Spot On Insurance. Today, you're going to discover what Spot On Insurance is, how it can help you. Ted and Arleen, welcome.
It's our pleasure.
Thank you so much, Doug.
Really excited to be here. We're on a new venture. We're just super excited about what the future for the insurance industry and for ILSA and Spot On Insurance as a whole.
And Doug, I mean, we've known you for several years. We're just so excited, like Ted said, but I am just so pumped up about this new venture and bringing Spot On Insurance to the insurance industry, which time and time again, I always post on my social networks that to me, it's the best industry ever because it's stable, it's long-term, it affects every single person out there. So I feel like we're in the best industry that we could possibly be. And we're so excited for these new resources that we're going to be bringing to the insurance industry.
I just want to say really quickly that, yes, it's been a couple of years since I met you on the floor of a forum in DC. And it's been so exciting to watch the evolution and the game change that you're bringing to insurance. And that's really what we're going to learn today is about this evolution and what you're doing to really change the game in the insurance industry. So, very excited to be here.
The exciting thing is that we're the only ones in the insurance industry, I think, that are bringing podcasts. But we're going to go one step further and bring it both in English and in Spanish to affect the insurance professionals working from South America, Latin America, Puerto Rico. Those people that are doing business with the United States and the Latin American countries are able to learn about licensing and regulatory compliance in the United States and perhaps take their game to a new level.
Well, let's start with ILSA and talk a little bit about how ILSA came to be.
So I was the head of regulatory compliance for an insurance agency in New York City, and they got bought out by Aon, and we decided to bring the same services that I was doing for this insurance agency to the insurance industry. So back in 1997, everything was being done on typewriters. It was a very complicated process, very cumbersome, time consuming. And so we talked about it. How can we automate this process and bring it out to the insurance industry? There's definitely a need. And that's what we did. We automated it. So from day one, we were kind of ahead of the game. We were able to provide a lot more services than anyone else could at the time. We started out with basic property casualty, life and health licensing, and then we just went on to develop 50 services. And most of those services were actually developed because of our clients. They would ask us to develop a new service based on their pains. And once we could get it automated, we would roll it out.
So basically, we're like chiropractors. We deal with their pains in the insurance industry.
Now, you both brought kind of unique strengths, right? So first of all, I should say also that you are, say a little bit about, you both have the same last name. So you want to explain to people your relationship?
We've been married for about, is it 35 years now?
34 years, something like that.
34 and change.
Yeah.
So, people usually, especially in our office, wonder how we do it because we're together almost 24/7. And we just happen to be one of those lucky folks that manage to get along. We like working together and going from project to project, building things and coming up with new ideas, especially in this industry.
Well, let's talk about, I know that obviously you built up ILSA to be very successful. Let's talk about sort of a turning point, a moment in the industry and in your business in 2008. I know that there was I think a pretty big turning point there or an inflection point. Can you say a little bit about what happened? I mean, we all know, of course, 2008 was probably a tough year for a lot of people.
Yeah. So when the collapse happened in 2008, at a certain point, I thought maybe the insurance industry would be insulated from it, but heck no. By 2009, it really gave a punch to the insurance industry. And we had so many clients that merged, clients that would say, we could no longer outsource to you guys. Give us some little bit of help so that we could do it ourselves because they just couldn't afford to outsource. We had a lot of clients that went out of business. And it was a huge turning point for us. We lost 70% of our income. What let us survive was the fact that we had no debt. We had no debt personally. We had no debt corporate wise. Ted and I went without a salary for almost a year. But at the same time, it brought us together because our people were like, what do we need to do to survive? And so we just figured out different ways to save on cost. And we also took the time to kind of cross-train everyone. So a lot of the projects that we couldn't get to before because we were so busy with work, a lot of automation projects, we were able to tackle those automation projects, and we were able to cross-train our people into different departments, and it was great. So they really thrived by getting to learn a lot more, and we survived.
So basically we were underwater at that point, and we, instead of, thinking about drowning and going under, we were thinking about what we're going to do when we get up above the surface. So that's really how we treated everything. All our people, as Arleen says, we started to cross-train. Our people kept busy learning new things, developing new areas, and saying, well, when this thing starts to go right for us, we will be prepared. We also started all kinds of programs. Arleen read a book called The Great Game of Business, shared it with me, and we shared it with our staff, and we started being transparent with everybody in our office. What we knew about our numbers, what was coming in, what was going out, everybody else knew. We started treating the business as a game, and we started playing it. And we said, okay, let's all play and see what we can do. Let's huddle up. So we have what we call money huddles every Tuesday, where we discuss exactly how the company is doing, and everybody who works for us is aware of what the numbers are. So there's nothing hidden away. They know what's coming up in terms of their bonuses. And we work on that day. We actually talk about bonuses, how each department is doing. Are they in line or not in line with the bonuses that are coming up? We actually made it a game. It's fun when we get together Tuesdays. We have music. We just have a good time. And we discuss where we're going and how we're going to get our goals and how we're going to meet those goals in the upcoming month or two.
What's amazing is that we put that together during our darkest days. We instituted that money huddle when we were just like so in the red, and so we knew that year there was going to be no bonus for the first time. We were already in business for a good 13 years or so. And that was the first year we weren't going to have a bonus, but we just huddled up, just dealt with it every single week. We put together 2 common company-wide financial goals. And to this day, we have our weekly money huddles.
There's such a great takeaway there, I think, for all of us about mindset. You could have taken that time and, panicked or, whatever it is that a lot of other people were doing. And it sounds like a lot of good things came out of that time. And what a great takeaway. And I love what you said, Ted, about instead of worrying about, how the fact that we're underwater, we focused on what were we going to do when we got above water. And yeah, just a great mindset takeaway. Spot On Insurance is sponsored by ILSA, Insurance Licensing Services of America, America's premier insurance licensing experts. To learn more about ILSA and the services they provide, visit ilsainc.com. So fast forward to today. First of all, I want to make it clear that Insurance Licensing Services of America is now really the premier industry, compliance experts. And so your business is thriving. But then we have Spot On Insurance. So can you explain, I want to kind of make that segue, where does Spot On Insurance fit in this journey?
So Spot On Insurance is something that we are so excited to bring to the insurance industry. And we kind of feel like, wow, we wish we would have had this a couple of years ago. During that time, when clients would just beg us for discounts or just to help them a little bit, go into their offices and train them just a bit so that they could take on some of the licensing work until they could get back on their feet and go back to using us. that's how we decided Spot On Insurance is going to be a great resource for that new insurance agency that is just starting out. They have constraints with budgets. They need some help with licensing. We're going to be able to put these things together in online courses. And it's also a tool to be able to train people, new hires. We have so many clients that will ask us, hey, can you go in and do a training for us? They're outsourcing already to us, but they want their people to know just a little bit more about surplus lines tax filings, a little bit more about the registrations with the Secretary of State. But it's not efficient for us to pull our people out of the office to fly to different locations to do training sessions. So that's what we're going to be having here in this platform. Not just on the online courses, but we're going to have this platform of podcasts where we're going to have experts from around the country, around the world, because we'll even have folks from Lloyd's talk on the podcast in the future. But they will bring that expertise. They'll be talking about, hey, these are the best practices so that you can be successful in your insurance agency. We'll have regulators talk about these are the things that you don't want to do so that you get tagged or fined. And that's an amazing resource for our industry. So we're so excited about that, about this whole venture.
So the idea is to bring together some insurance professionals, agency principals, compliance officers, even agency administrators, and talk about the work that they're doing, regulatory attorneys especially, to talk about what's going on in the laws, what's going on in the regulations, what's the best way to deal with certain issues. That is going to help, I think, tremendously for those folks in the industry who are struggling with regulatory compliance.
So one of the things, Doug, is when I started out in the insurance industry many, many years ago, I was in my 20s. And all of a sudden, I was the head of compliance for this major insurance broker, London broker. And I didn't have a resource within our company because it hadn't been done before. So a lot of my learning came through trial and error. And of course, back then it was even more cumbersome to be able to reach out to the insurance departments. You didn't really have internet. So you had to call and try to get answers and look at statutes and decipher information. So one of the things that we're going to be offering here is for a licensing administrator at an agency that's been hired, they're going to be able to see this as a resource. Hey, this is an advanced course for licensing administrators. Maybe they're just tackling several states, but they want to know how to do it nationwide. This is going to be the place that they're going to be able to get those resources.
And is it my understanding, I mean, they'll be able to get this really on demand. All you need is a computer and internet access, right? This is really the cutting edge of learning.
That's correct. It's going to be something that they can control when they learn. They're able to do it, of course, at work or at home. They're able to do it at their pace. But it's going to be pretty robust. You know, it's all of our experience that we've accumulated, plus our team's experience. You know, they're dealing with the most complicated licensing issues out there, regulatory issues that are being faced by some of the world's largest insurance agencies. So we're able to take all of that information, put them into case studies, and bring that to a licensing administrator. Could be in Omaha, Nebraska, you know?
I think what's exciting is the professionals that we're going to bring in that people are going to get an opportunity to hear from every week. These are the folks that are really dealing with these issues right now. We've been in this industry for over 20 years, as Arleen says, and then our people who have that expertise in the background. So we're going to be filling in the blanks. On Friday, we're going to have a opportunity for folks to do Q&A. So not only do we do the podcast and have these professionals giving us their expertise, but if you have further questions, you'll be able to call us on Friday. We'll be doing a Facebook Live from somewhere in Puerto Rico, and And that'll give them an opportunity to even get more answers to their questions on regulatory compliance.
I think that's also going to be so cool is when we do these Facebook Lives, like Ted mentioned, for the questions and answers of the week's earlier podcast, we're going to be bringing it from different locations in Puerto Rico. So people will be able to have an opportunity to kind of see behind the scenes where Arleen and Ted are, get to check out new places in Puerto Rico, and perhaps come vacation here. And, you know, they'll already know restaurants and beaches and just different cool places.
We're definitely going to be looking for the best minds to bring them on.
That sounds really good. That sounds amazing. I want to make sure also to just to say, and tell me if I'm wrong, but obviously, I mean, Spot On Insurance is what a tremendous resource. You know, I was thinking it's like you guys have created like the Harvard of insurance, you know, like this is like the best minds. I don't know if Harvard's really the best. It could be Yale, it could be whatever, but it could be anywhere you want. But also, I just want to say that the podcast specifically, we're going to talk about the courses in a moment a little bit more, but the podcast really can help the general public who needs to be more educated as consumers, as insurance consumers, right? I mean, there would be a lot of benefit for someone like myself. I mean, I've learned so much just doing these podcasts. Could you say a little bit about that? Like, would the podcast be helpful for insurance consumers?
Right. So, you know, obviously we deal with some of the most complicated insurance issues out there, but we want this to be a place that anyone can go to. We want it to be for someone that's just buying their first home. They really don't know anything about a homeowner's policy. This is going to be a place where they can listen to a podcast about the things that you should look for in a homeowner's insurance policy. We want them to know about the different coverages that are available and not to necessarily always look for the lowest price. So those are some of the podcasts that we are excited to bring to our folks. We know so many people have said to us, we desperately need this.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I'm not aware of anywhere else where there'd be so much resources for, like you said, for industry experts and also obviously for consumers as well. Moving back to the industry expert part, we talked a little bit about the trainings. Can you just say a little bit more about what types of trainings, additional types of trainings that you'll have coming up for Spot On Insurance, the types of things that people will be able to access?
Yes. So one of the first online courses that we will be offering is something that's very close and dear to our heart, and it is insurance licensing. Why not take that expertise of ourselves and our team and consolidate it into a course with several modules, and it will be all together, but it's going to be starting with beginners, intermediary, advanced. How to get a resident license, how to get a non-resident license, how to get a corporate license. What are all the implications when you do have a corporate license? What are the filing requirements outside of the insurance department? There's a lot of filing requirements with the Secretary of States, with the Departments of Revenue. So all of that information is going to be put into these courses with case studies to kind of emphasize how to avoid getting fined, how to avoid getting penalties, how to ensure that you are running your business successfully by meeting all of the licensing requirements. The faster that you're licensed, the faster that you can make money in the insurance industry. So that's where we want to be. So that's going to be one of the first courses that we'll have. We're exploring additional things. We're going to do some more things that are just like geared for the surplus lines industry, which is the non-admitted market. There's tax filings that have to be done when a broker has a surplus lines license. We have a huge department at ILSA that handles all of that. It's a very complicated process, and we are going to bring that also onto a course so that people get a better understanding of the process and have the tools so that they can train their people
Let's talk about as well. You mentioned that you're in Puerto Rico, and I know you're also going to have, one of the things that's exciting is you're going to have a lot of resources for people in Spanish. Is that correct?
Yes. So a lot of people in the industry, our friends and colleagues, aren't aware that both Ted and myself are Hispanic. We're both Dominican, and we are so excited to bring the podcast to the insurance industry in Spanish as well, because the same needs that the English speaking audience has, well, the Spanish speaking audience has those same needs as well. And we are going to be bringing insurance experts from around the world to talk on the podcast. We already have several that have said that they're so looking forward to being a guest on the podcast.
And of course, I want to make sure everyone's listening to this and they're saying, all right, how do I find out more about this? How do I access Spot On Insurance? How would they do that?
Okay, so Spot On Insurance, the website is www.spotoninsurance.com. And we're also on Facebook, Spot On Insurance Facebook.
My guests today have been Ted and Arleen Taveras, from co-founders of ILSA and co-founders of Spot On Insurance. Ted and Arleen, thank you so much for joining me today.
It's our pleasure.
Thank you so much, Doug.
You've been listening to Spot On Insurance. Our show notes and bonus resources can be found on spotoninsurance.com. Subscribe now so you don't miss a single episode. Thank you so much for listening. And don't forget, we'll be answering your podcast questions every Friday live on Facebook at 11 a.m. Eastern.